It's that time of the year. Many employees will be paid earlier in December to have some accommodation to festive season spending. Employers will probably be sending out their circulars to offices when they'll be paid. But now banks often move debit order dates forward to coincide with earlier paydays. This, of course, to ensure that there's actually money in people's accounts on the agreed upon pay dates, whether it's the 25th of the month or whether it's the first day of the next month. Some banks have clauses in their terms and conditions that do allow this. But do you have the right to request debit orders run on the original agreed date? Wendy Knowler, the consumer ninja, joins me now. Again, a perennial conversation, but I think something else has been added to this conversation. Can I read you a SMS from someone from their bank, not over December Christmas spending, but over Black Friday? I won't mention the bank, but it says, please note that due to Black Friday, your vehicle finance debit order will be processed earlier than usual. Your installment will be debited on the 28th of November, which was on Friday, Black Friday. Kindly ensure sufficient funds are available to avoid unsuccessful payments. I understand, could maybe give some leeway for a December salary date, but banks already saying, you're going to participate in Black Friday? We'll take our money first, Wendy.
Yeah, no, this was a new one on me, Lester. And actually, we can name the bank because I've managed over the weekend to get a response from ABSA, a bank which did this with respect to its car loan, vehicle asset finance book. And obviously, one of the questions I asked was, is this a new thing? Have you done it before? And apparently they say not. They say, as you've said, early debit orders are common practice in the industry during seasonal periods, including Black Friday, says ABSA, when spending patterns increase. In previous years, we have seen pressure on customer accounts with unmet debit orders escalating during this period, and blah, blah, blah. They're framing it, Lester, as a customer service. They're saying because collecting earlier payments prevents unnecessary fees and charges on overdue accounts. And also, of course, you get a little black mark on your credit record. So the question is, can they do it? Well, I've canvassed this issue many times in the past, as you can imagine, because people hate it. And the banking division of the National Financial Ombudsman says, look, if you've got a certain date, because we get to choose, right, the 25th, the 1st, whatever, and if they do it on another date, it's a breach without your consent, or if there's a clause in your debit order mandate that says we can collect earlier or later on a if payment date falls on a public holiday. Be careful though. Some of the clauses say after, and then they do it before, so then they're in breach. And there's often a word in there about December. Now it's going to be interesting. This is my homework in the next couple of days to find out if you go to take out a car loan now, a home loan, whether they're inserting something in there about Black Friday, November, because that'll be interesting. But the bottom line is, if you haven't opted in, if you haven't agreed, because they have to give you a notification, right? That's hence those SMSs. If you haven't opted in and said yes, then and you get a penalty fee because there was no money in your account then absolutely they must refund you any penalty fees. So this is it's a very contentious thing.
Because now they're shifting goalposts. I can understand. I reasonably can understand December and pay dates. But now they're saying because general consumer patterns change in the last weekend of November, we're going to debit early. They could also then make that conversation around Easter when we see lots of people moving around the country, families going on holiday, probably more swipes of debit and credit cards. And they can say, well, we also see consumer spend go up in April and March. Where does this thing now end? Simply because of banks who have this hint that we may see an increased consumer activity. We want to take our monies first. I don't think the argument holds water.
I don't either. The only thing is, if you get a hold of the bank and say, no, I want my debit order to go on the normal date, and then and then you default, then obviously you're going to have to pay whatever penalty fees there are. But I do think this has got it does have an impact on if they get it wrong, if on your credit record. So that's something to think about. And then just one more thing, if I may. If you're under debt review, it's a big thing. So Debt Busters COO Benay Sager has told me over this issue that they do see, and he was talking December, but obviously it's happening at the end of November as well, that there's deterioration in people meeting their obligations in December. And he says our research shows that any missed payment in December generally takes up to 2 years to make up for by consumers, creating balance mismatches with creditors, etc. So it is serious if you miss, but as someone said, we're not all school children. Don't treat us all like school children.
I think there's also this assumption that people get paid around the 15th. And that may be the case at some companies. I know here at Prime Media that we have largely aligned to more traditional pay dates. So it will be at least in that week just before Christmas. I think the 15th of December is a little bit too early. But there is this expectation or this assumption by banks that everyone is getting paid around the 15th. It's now up to me to correct them. I've, in fact, if people have sent me messages from my bank, I said, no, keep it the same. And then they say, well, I'm a 25th of the month man, myself, Wendy. And then I got a response.
Me
like,
too.
oh, we can't do the 25th because it's a public holiday. I said, fine, make it on the 24th because keep to it as close to its original date as possible.
Exactly. And I'm in the same position. So I don't, I get paid on the normal days, and it does rely on you seeing that SMS and telling them. And so I missed one last December, and I had an early payment. I didn't have an unmet, fortunately, but I could have. So it's a whole. They're obviously working on statistics and whatever, and they can't apply it down to each individual person. So those of us who have a good payment record, an unblemished payment record, get really, really annoyed when this assumption is that, we can't trust you to handle your finances properly in December and November and goodness, maybe Easter as well. So we're just going to chaps your money early. It's never going to sit well, but they justify it to say the numbers show that there's a huge amount of people that spend their money on Black Friday or Christmas or December vibes, and we have to protect them from themselves. So this is what we're going to do.
Messenger, we're talking about penalty fees, but are the interest implications if banks are taking money earlier? Yes, maybe a week as most 10 days. Would there be interest implications that would come into where a consumer would be negatively affected?
Well, you could say they're taking your money early, so they're going to be negligible amounts. I've never had anyone challenge that. It's mostly around the fact that if it happens.
Well, maybe I must challenge my 50 cents, Wendy, because if a million other South Africans challenge their 50 cents, maybe that would make the banks learn a lesson or two,
Yeah, maybe make them calculate it. They're good at that. You calculate all the interest you took without authority and pay it back. Why not?
Okay, so bottom line is, Wendy, if you receive a message, if you do not want a debit order to go off early, read the fine print of your loan or your credit contract. The banks may very well be within their rights. It's up to you to inform a bank or a creditor, I'd like to retain my original repayment dates.
Yeah, and if you miss that SMS, if you miss that opportunity to tell them, no, actually don't take it early, then obviously if there's a repercussion around that, if there wasn't money there early in time or whatever, then you could clearly have an argument for you pay those fees back and you sort out my credit record if there was any impact there. Yeah, but I think that the Black Friday thing is a thing. I don't think I would love to see if there were clauses in current debit order mandates that allows them to do it in November as well, because I don't think so. And if they have adapted it, that's quite a story, isn't it, in terms of what Black Friday has become.
There we go. Consumer Ninja, Wendy Knowler, really appreciate your time.